I think today's video is really going to prove just how full circle I've gone in the past year. If I'm not mistaken, when I started making book content a year ago, my first video was 24 books that I want to read in 2024, or my 2024 TBR. And today, I'm sitting down with you to talk about my 2025 TBR, or in other words, 25 books that I want to read in 2025. This list was so incredibly hard to put together, not because I couldn't find books that I didn't want to read, but honestly it was the opposite. When I was going through my shelves, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to read that this year, I want to read this year, and I had, like, I'm not kidding you, 50 books that I wanted to read. And while I will probably tackle all of them, seeing as I smashed my reading goal out of the water this year, you'll hear more about that in the 2024 wrap up in like a week. I wanted to stick with just the 25 because 25 books in 2025, I love that concept. It makes me happy. Although I will tell you right now, there are 26 books in this pile. I'm just not counting one of them because they're all series and I was not going to split them up. Or most of them are series, and not all of them are series. But I am so incredibly excited to share my 2025 reading list with you, and I hope that you are so excited to hear about it. And with that, let's stop having a yapping moment and start yapping about the books that I want to read. And let's start with the kind of small category, romance. This section actually only consists of 6 books. The first 2 of those books are the last 2 in the Maple Hills series, or at least what's out right now. I don't know if she's planning on writing more. Wildfire was actually on my 2024 TBR, and clearly I did not read it. I just was not in the mood to pick up another 400-page romance that I want to tab. I have not been in the tabbing mood with my romances recently, so both of these are being carried over. Nonetheless, I am still so excited to dive into both of these worlds. Wildfire, I am 100% going to read in the summer, and then Daydream I actually want to read in the spring. And lucky enough for me, I don't think you have to read these in order, so I am just so excited for these. Because while I didn't love Icebreaker, I do love her writing, and I'd love to visit some of her writing again, obviously. And then the other 4 books in the romance category are actually also part of the series. If you couldn't have guessed, this is the Twisted series by Anna Huan. I own so many Anna Huan books, and I haven't read any of them. And while I definitely want to read more than just these 4 this year, I want to start with this series because this is what she got popular for, if I'm not mistaken. And while her other series have more of an interesting premise to me, I've been told that you have to read this first. I don't know if that's true, but I'm not risking it. If you are unfamiliar with the Twisted series, it consists of 4 books, all right here. The first one is Twisted Love. The second is Twisted Games. The third is Twisted Hate. And the fourth is Twisted Lies. I know nothing about these other than the fact that I'm pretty sure they're all rich and obviously romance books. And honestly, you sold me. I truly do not need to know more than that. But I am very excited to hop on the Anna Huan hype train this year. I am so excited to read her writing. I'm just so incredibly excited for it. But those are the 6 romance books that I want to read this year. This next category is kind of like a subsection of romance, I guess, but I didn't feel right putting it into the romance category, and that is going to be the 5 dark romance books that I want to read this year. This, again, is actually just one series, which is going to be the Never After series by Emily McIntyre. Did I read Hooked earlier this year, or was that last year? I think that was last year. I don't know exactly when I read Hooked, but I did read Hooked. I love Hooked. Hooked is actually what got me into reading dark romance in the first place. That is the first dark romance I ever opened. I love it so much. Her writing is absolutely stunning, and I don't know why I haven't picked up the rest of this. Actually, you know what? I do. This series is another series that I want to tab when I read it, and like I said, I haven't been in the mood to tab my romances. Like, I especially want to read Hexed, and Hexed is the one that like literally just came out. So obviously, I have a little bit of reading that I need to do before that. If you have never heard of the Never After series before, the first book is Hooked, the second book is Scarred, the third is Wretched, the fourth is Twisted, the 5th is Cross, and the 6th is Hexed. Obviously, these are dark romance, but they are actually dark romance fairy tale retellings. And when I say fairy tale, I mean like Peter Pan and Wendy was Hooked. I know Hexed is Ariel. I don't know if I know any of the other ones. One of them is Rumpelstiltskin, I think. And I think Scarred is the Lion King. I don't know. Either way, I really want to read these this year. Okay, let's move on to our next section. This section consists of 5 books, and they're all kind of miscellaneous in the literary fiction type overall arching theme. Some of these are thrillers, some of them are mysteries, some of them are horror, and some of them are genuinely just literary fiction. Honestly, this section is everything that's not romance, dark romance, or fantasy, because I love my normal categories and I don't leave them very often, but I'm going to leave them for at least 5 books this year. The first of which is going to be The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. Frida McFadden is one of the most beloved thriller authors that I have ever heard about ever in my time as a reader. Like, there's a general consensus that when looking for thrillers, Frida McFadden is one of the people who you can look for in stores. And while I tend to consume a lot of her writing, I do not consider myself to be a Frida McFadden girly, because no matter how much of her content I consume, I just feel like I'm missing something still. And I don't feel like the same way about Frida McFadden as everybody else does. Like, I like her writing, I like her thrillers, but I haven't found the one for me yet. Hence why we have The Boyfriend. I am continuing my search to find my Frida McFadden book. Hopefully, this can be it. And if not, that sucks for me. Following the same theme of an author that people love, we have Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I have never read a book by this man in my life, but I feel the sudden compelling urge to read one, so I picked up this one. I actually watched somebody else's reading vlog where they read this and they loved it, and I was like, that concept sounds really interesting. I'd also like to know what you're reading about. Let me go pick up the book. I am not a huge literary person, but I feel like I will genuinely enjoy this. And I'm really excited for this one. Honestly, I'm really excited to read Anxious People. I myself am an anxious person, so I feel like it fits, you know? Like, I know their circumstances are different, but I feel like it fits. I really don't know what I'm saying. So let's move on to book number 3 in this category, which is going to be My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This one is simply based off of the cover. Do you need to see anything else? It has like this retro 80s, 90s type vibe, and I am just so here for it. I am so here for it. I want to know what this book is about so bad, but I do not want to read the back of the book for this. I don't. This one's purely off of vibes, but the vibes are so immaculate that I am fighting not to pick it up in like the last 3 days that we have in December. I am so excited for this one. Okay, we got 2 more books in this section. The first of which is The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels by Janice Hallett. I don't remember if I peeked at the inside cover for this. I don't think that I did. This is honestly just another It's Giving Me Vibes one, and I want to know what the vibes are about. I honestly think it's the cover and the spine. Like, I like it. It's visually appealing to me, and I'm really enjoying it. I mean, there's literally nothing else for me to say about this. I know nothing. I'm assuming there's a murder. There's some blood on the cover. The devil is in the details. Stuff to do with like angels and devils? Well, no, duh. I mean, I understand the cover and the title is literally Alperton Angels, but like, are we doing like good versus evil? Oh, it's a thriller. Demise of an apocalyptic cult. Yeah, okay, so I'm like really excited for this now. Still don't know what it's about. I was literally reading the reviews on the back, but yeah, that might be the first book we pick up in January. That looks really good. Okay. And then the last book that I have in this section is Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner. I would like you to take a second to just look at this cover. For me, it's an optical illusion, and I love that. I genuinely love that. I think I actually did read the inside cover of this one, or like skimmed it, because this is actually a book that my mom picked out, but I want to read it, so here we are. Please don't ask me what it's about, because even though I did skim the like blurb, I don't retain that information once I buy the book. It's a spy novel, environmental activism, paranoia. I think it's a mystery thriller type situation, so shocker, another thriller. I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. I haven't read it yet. The last section that I have is by far the largest section. It's huge. Let me see if I can even pick it up without falling over. The answer is probably no. Oh no, I got it. Okay. This section is 10, but I'm counting it as 9 books. And this is the fantasy section. These are the fantasy books that I want to read this year. Let me just offload some of them so we can talk about them one at a time, like they rightfully deserve. Okay. First book in the stack. This one I'm so excited for. This is The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. I literally just picked this up from Barnes & Noble. And while it is a YA fantasy, I was fully enthralled with like the little top part of the blurb. Let me read that to you. In the dark underbelly of a beautiful city, 2 rival gang members are pitted against each other in a deadly game of duty and revenge in which the most dangerous mistake is falling in love. You want to know what this sounds like to me? This sounds like enemies to lovers, and I'm always here for it, especially when the cover art. Oh my god, what? I didn't know that was there. There's something else in the back. And then that's the same, but brother, I love that. I'm here for it. I'm here for this. I'm here for you. I'm so excited for this one. Oh my gosh, she wrote the Twin Crowns duology. That is so funny. I had Twin Crowns on my 2024 TBR, and I have yet to read it. I don't know if I'm going to get to it this year, but I was so excited to read Twin Crowns, and now another wonderful book is making it onto my TBR. Hopefully, I'll actually read this one this year. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I don't know, I'm not even laughing, but that really is funny. I was like, that name sounds familiar. Where have I heard it before? And it's because I was literally staring at the book the entire year. So duh, of course it sounded familiar. You were supposed to read it. You idiot. Anyways, The Dagger and the Flame. It's giving enemies to lovers. I'm very excited. Okay, I do think I forgot to point out that The Dagger and the Flame is actually a series. However, that is the first one that just came out, so in my brain, it's technically not a series yet. And I said that so that what I'm about to say is going to make a lot more sense, which is the rest of my fantasy books are actually series. So let's talk about the fantasy series that I want to read this year. Not really a subcategory of fantasy, just building on the fact that I want to read fantasy this year. The first of which is the second and third book in the Lightlark saga. The second book is Nightbane, and the third one is Skyshade. Lightlark was the book that I read that got me back into reading almost 2 years ago at this point, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Lightlark has my heart. I am actually currently rereading Lightlark. I say that. I haven't opened the cover yet, but that's like the next book I'm going to pick up, and I'm reading it in preparation for reading Nightbane, Skyshade, and I know there's 2 more books that are being released through 2026, I believe. Nonetheless, I want to know what happens. I don't really remember the end of Lightlark. I know it takes place at the Sential, where people have to compete to see if their kingdom will survive, I believe. I'm probably so wrong. I didn't even read the back of it before I went to go pick it up again. I don't know. I don't know what it's about. It's a fantasy. I know there's a really big love triangle, because I remember being mad at it, and that is about the extent of my knowledge. I'd love to tell you I know exactly what happens in here, but that would be the biggest, fattest lie of my life. I just really like the pretty covers. So, there's that. Nightbane and Skyshade by Alex Astor. You're going on my 2025 TBR. I hope to pick you up this year. We'll see. I did not do a good job with my 2024 TBR. Moving on, we have a trilogy, because I am a trilogy lover. This trilogy is one that I've had for a very long time. I've wanted to pick up for a very long time, but this author and her world intimidates me, but I think I'm ready. You know, like I really think I'm ready. And that trilogy is going to be the Shadow and Boom trilogy by Leah Bardugo, I believe is how you say your last name. Bardugo? I don't know, I'm sorry. The first one is Shadow and Boon. The second is Siege and Storm. And the third is Ruin and Rising. I am reading this trilogy because I really want to read Six of Crows, but I have heard on so many occasions that if you want to read Six of Crows and what's the other book? Crooked Kingdoms, I think, you have to read this first because they take place in the same universe. So, you know, you gotta know what you're getting into. Building on that, I've heard that people really hate this trilogy, but absolutely love Six of Crows. I'm hoping that I really love this trilogy and also really love Six of Crows. That might be too much to hope for. I, once again, do not know what happens in this trilogy. Why would I? Literally, why would I read about what I'm picking up? That's so dumb. Sarcasm, of course. Sarcasm, but no, seriously, like I don't know what happens. I know they made it into a show, and my mom was watching the show almost like 4 years ago at this point. That's dramatic. Maybe like 2 years ago. And I remember walking and being like, don't let me watch it. I need to read the books first. I'd like to watch the show. So it is officially trilogy time. Okay. And then the last 3, technically 4 books on my TBR are, I am sure, a surprise to no one. Do you know what it is yet? You don't? How about now? These are the last 4 books in the ACOTAR series. If you don't know what ACOTAR is, it stands for A Court of Thorns and Roses. That is the first book in this series. It is by Sarah J. Maas, and I read it 3 months ago at this point, and I have yet to pick up the rest of the series. I really need to, honestly, is all I'm going to say. I need to read the rest of the series. Because of how loved this series is, I was expecting me to like fall in love with book 1, and I didn't. However, I still want to know where it goes, you know? Like, I want to know what happens. I also want to know what is so important that happens in the series, that there is an 800-page novel for it. I'm sorry, I'm being dramatic. It's only 750 pages. But why? What happens in here? It's so intimidating, honestly. This is so intimidating to me. Honestly, all of this is intimidating to me. How many pages is in Court of Mist and Fury? 600? 624. I don't think I was ready for this. Anyways. These are on my TBR. If y'all don't know, let me tell you the titles. The second book is A Court of Mist and Fury. The second/third book, this one is considered a novella, is A Court of Frost and Starlight. This is the book that doesn't count, by the way, in case you're wondering, because it's technically a novella. Oh no, the corner was bent. Oh no, it was just indented. Okay. The third book is A Court of Winds and Ruin. And then the fourth and final book, actually, I don't think it's the final. I think we're still waiting on more books in this series, which is nuts. Anyways, it's going to be A Court of Silver Flames. I am so intimidated by you. I am so intimidated by you, but I have a couple of your brothers to read first, so it's okay. I'm okay. It's fine. I'll be fine. But that is my official 25 books that I want to read in 2025 list, and I'm really excited for it, honestly. After sitting down and actually looking at it, it's a lot of books that have been highly recommended to me by the internet, as I'm sure you've heard of them too. But honestly, that's a lot of what's on my TBR still. Like this year I did a lot of reading, obviously, but most of it was books that I randomly picked up. And that's completely fine, and I loved it that way. But I'm excited to dive into worlds that people already love, you know, and see, like, give my 2 cents on them. I don't know, I'm very excited. Anyways, excitement aside, I have to wait 3 days before I pick up any of these books, and honestly, it's gonna be a struggle. I'm getting very excited to dive into every single one of these worlds, some more than others, but I am excited for this list. I've literally already said that 4 times. I think you've got the point by now. So good job, guys. Anyhow, I hope that you are as excited for 2025 reading as I am. Until the next time that we see each other, I hope that your book worlds are treating you just as well as mine treat me. And I cannot wait to see you guys next Wednesday for another reading adventure. Have a good week, you guys. Bye!